So I ask that we gather any supplies that we feel we may need today. The supplies I have today is a yoga block, and I am actually sitting on a bolster pillow. So maybe you can grab a bolster pillow if that feels good for you, or any type of pillow if you choose. So I have a long bolster pillow that we're going to use between our thighs today to help with comfort. So maybe you can grab something that's nice and long. I also have a yoga strap. We may or may not need a yoga strap today, but we're just going to bring any supplies over that we feel we may need. And also, most importantly, I have some water for hydration. We want to make sure and ensure that we are staying hydrated during our session here today. Okay, so it is 6 o'clock on the dot, and we are going to get started here today. I am sitting on a bolster pillow. The bolster pillow gives our bodies a little bit more space for baby bump. So if you choose, maybe find something to sit on if that feels good for you. And maybe find ourselves in a comfortable seated pose. I am sitting in half lotus. Maybe find any easy seat that feels good for you. As we ensure that our spinal cord is nice and long, we want to ensure that we are not sunken downward. Because when we sink our bodies, when we are sunken, we squish baby. So always ensuring that our spinal cords are nice and long, which gives baby plenty of space in our bellies. Ensuring that our shoulders are relaxed downward away from our ears. We don't want to be tensed. We want to be nice and relaxed. So we have a nice long back. We have our shoulders that are melted downward away from our ears, with our eyes gazed down or closed. We are using this position to relax and soothe and find our ground here today. Spinal cord is nice and long. Shoulders are relaxed down away from the ears. Eyes are gazed down. As we find our mind and bodies becoming relaxed and centered here today. May we bring our palms at heart center, finding ourselves in a seated prayer. As we breathe in, exhale. Maybe noticing how the breath relaxes and soothes. Breathe in through the nose. Exhale through the mouth. As we are gazing down with our palms at heart center. May we relax here in silent meditation for 4 natural breaths. Palms at heart center. Breathe in through the nose. Exhale through the mouth. As we breathe our palms above our head in our seated salute, reaching our fingertips up towards the ceiling, our spinal cords are nice and long. Noticing how this feels in our bodies, ensuring that our spinal cord is long, nice and tall. We don't want to sunken down our spinal cord, because when we sink downward, we squish baby. So always keeping our spinal cord nice and long, chin slightly up, noticing how this feels in our bodies. Breathe in. Exhale, seated twist right side, softly gazing over that right shoulder. Softly and gently, noticing how this feels in the spinal cord. 3 breaths. Exhale back to center, coming to our seated star. Palms are off towards the side. As we breathe to our salute. Breathe in. Exhale, seated twist, opposite side. Gazing over that shoulder. Relax in the body. 3 breaths. Exhaling back to center, come into our seated star. Palms are off towards the side. Spinal cord is nice and long. As we breathe up to our salute, noticing how this feels in our bodies. Chin is slightly up. Breathe in. Exhale a prayer, bringing our palms at heart center. Allowing our thumbs to touch our sternum. Shoulders are relaxed downward away from our ears. As we allow our palms to relax on the sides of our bodies, fingertips are planted onward towards the earth. As we use this moment to be aware of our environment, noticing what is going on around us. During this session, we may hear sounds and we may become distracted. May we take notice of what is going on, always without judgment. Simply being aware, simply noticing. As we allow our bodies to lean towards the right, we're going to come into a seated bend. Maybe allowing our left arm to lift over our head. As our bodies lean towards the right, our shoulders, our ears relax down towards our shoulders. Natural breaths. 2 more breaths. As we exhale back to center, both palms are on the earth. As we side bend opposite side, allowing our right arm to come up above our head. As our bodies lean towards the left, our right ear reaches downward towards our shoulder, feeling a side bend. 3 breaths. As we exhale back to center, palms are on the earth. As we breathe back to our salute, palms are up in the air, reaching our fingertips up towards the ceiling. 2 breaths. Chin slightly up. Spinal cord is nice and long. Exhale down to prayer. As we find our bodies in a staff pose, may we straighten our legs, coming off that bolster pillow if we were on our pillow. Our legs are parallel, side by side. Noticing how this feels in our bodies. As we widen our legs, we want to always create space for baby. So we are widening our legs as we slightly hinge at our hips, coming into a seated forward fold. Going down ever so slightly. We don't want to go down too deep. Noticing how we feel the stretch behind our legs and our hamstrings. With our eyes gazed down or closed, may we hang out here 4 breaths. Two more breaths. As we come up to a half forward fold, wide-legged forward fold. As we breathe back to our staff pose, but we are wide-legged, always creating space for baby. As we bring up our feet inward, coming into a bound position, we are in our butterfly or our diamond pose, whatever feels good for you. This is a hip opener, ensuring that our spinal cord is nice and long. Noticing how this feels in our bodies. Hanging out here for 2 breaths, simply being aware of how we feel. As we breathe up to a cat, allowing our chin to come slightly up. Our heart chakra is open slightly up. Noticing how this feels, we are in our seated cow. As we exhale to our seated cat, only slightly, allowing our chin to slightly come towards our clavicle and our spinal cord slightly goes towards the back of the room. Breathing back up to our cow, nice and deep. Chin comes up, heart chakra is open. Exhaling back down to our cat, slightly coming into our cat. Because remember, we don't want to go in too deep because we don't want to squeeze baby, especially if we have a big belly. 2 breaths. Exhaling back to center, we are back in our butterfly or our diamond. Once again, this is a nice hip opener. As we slightly hinge at our hips, opening up our hips a little bit deeper here. Heart chakra is still slightly up. Eyes are gazed down, noticing how this feels in our bodies. Ensuring that we are not going down too deep. We don't want to overstretch and cause any injuries to our bodies. 4 more breaths.
As we flow upwards to our butterfly or our diamond pose.
Diamond, noticing how that feels. We're going to bring our legs back parallel into our staff pose. Maybe coming into a wide-legged staff pose, depending on how big our bellies are. And we're going to slightly hinge at the hips one more time. Chin slightly up, heart chakra is slightly open. 3 breaths. Breathe in. As we exhale back up to our staff, once again, we are wide-legged. Noticing how this feels in our bodies as we flow onto our backs.
Bringing our knees into our chest, but we are wide-legged. If we are in our later trimester, maybe we can roll onto our side, coming into a fetal position, simply resting with the bolster pillow between our thighs. Noticing how this feels within the body.
We are using this floor to relax and soothe our spinal cord. Noticing how this feels. As we breathe our legs up in the air, legs on a wall pose.
Moms in their 3rd trimester, please remain in a fetal position.
We're going to hang out here 2 breaths. Allowing our shoulders to relax back into the yoga mat with our eyes gazed down. 2 more breaths. As we flow down to a happy baby, bringing our knees inward towards our chest, but wide-legged, bringing our hands inward between our thighs and connecting our hands to our feet with our eyes gazed down and closed. Maybe hang out here in happy baby. 4 breaths. Two more breaths. As we exhale back up to legs on the wall, relaxing the body. Bringing our knees back into our chest, coming into a wide-legged knees to chest. Legs are spread it out towards the side. Maybe our feet are connected. As we come on down into a Shavasana just for a second, only for a second, and we're going to come on to our sides. We are in a fetal pose just for a second as we use our hands to push our bodies back up, bringing our bodies back into a seated position. Maybe crossing our feet in front of us, coming into a cow face. Feet are crossed, heart chakra's up, spinal cord is nice and long. As we are gazed downward towards the earth, with our shoulder blades relaxed down, bringing our palms at heart center. As we take this time to thank ourselves for allowing ourselves to practice self-care here today. Breathe in deeply through the nose. Exhale through the mouth. Noticing how the breath relaxes and soothes. 2 more breaths. As we flow out of our cow position, we're going to come onto our hands and knees, coming into a tabletop pose. Our knees are a hip distance apart. Noticing how that feels within our bodies. Our legs are nice and wide. As we drop down to our cow, our tummies come downward towards the earth. Chin is slightly up. We are in our cow. As we exhale to our cat, chin comes towards our clavicle. Spinal cord goes up in the air. As we do a couple of cat-cows to our natural breath. Two more breaths. As we find our pause at table, we're going to come into a wide leg, and we're going to widen our legs just a little bit more. We're going to come on down to a puppy pose, allowing our heart chakra to come downward towards the earth, extending our palms in front of us. Our buttocks is in the air. With our eyes slightly gazed down and closed, we are in our puppy pose. May we relax here 4 natural breaths. Allowing our shoulder blades to melt forward. Using this pose to relax and center. 4 more breaths. Two more breaths. As we relax our bodies down, coming into a child's pose, allowing our buttocks to come towards the heels of our feet, noticing how the puppy pose and the child's pose are very similar. Heart chakra is still connected to the earth. Arms are in front of us. 3 breaths. Two more breaths. With our palms in front of us, we're going to do a couple of spinal waves. Palms are on the earth. We're going to use our palms to push our bodies forward. Noticing how that feels. We are doing spinal waves. Pushing our buttocks towards the heels of our feet. Waving our bodies. We are loosening and warming up our spinal cord. Our legs are nice and wide. Going as fast or as slow as we choose. Noticing how this feels in the spine. 3 more breaths. And if you choose, we can add our neck into the rotations here by simply just rolling our neck around and maybe moving our hips in a circular rotations as opposed to doing spinal waves. Circular rotations with the hips, rolling our head around. We are loosening and wakening up our bodies here. Noticing how this feels. 3 more breaths. 2 more breaths, relaxing and having fun as we find our pause, coming back down to our child's pose. 2 breaths, gazing forward, exhaling back to our table. We are on our hands and our knees as we drop down to our cow, exhaling to our cat as we come up to a kneeled position. We are on our knees, noticing how this feels in our bodies. And maybe we can place our palms on the back, the lower parts of our backs as we work on a camel pose here. Maybe going into a half camel by placing the right hand on our right foot or ankle. Noticing how that feels in the body. Once again, we don't want to overstretch or overextend our bodies. Maybe if we choose, we can allow our head to relax back between our shoulder blades. Noticing how that feels in the body. If that feels good, may we hang out here 4 breaths. Two more breaths. Exhaling back up to our kneel position. As we switch sides, we're going to do half camel on the opposite side here. Allowing our left hand to go towards our left heel or our left ankle. And if we're able, we can allow our head to relax between our shoulder blades. This pose here is a back bend. 4 breaths. Two more breaths. As we come back up to our kneel position, noticing how we feel in our bodies. And before we float out of our camels, if we choose, maybe we can place both of our hands on the lower parts of our backs. And allow our head to fall backwards between our shoulder blades. Heart chakra comes up. As we come back up to center, hanging out here for a second. And for those who choose, maybe we can try to flow into a full camel, only if we're able. Taking our right hand to our right heel, taking our left hand to our left heel. Our bellies come up nice and big in front of us, allowing our head to relax between our shoulder blades. And we are in our full camel, only if we're able. If not, we're going to flow into our half camel. May we hang out here 4 breaths. Two more breaths. Exhaling back forward, we are in our kneel position. As we come down to a puppy pose, our legs are nice and widened. Our chest, heart chakra comes downward towards the earth, buttocks is in the air. As we extend our palms in front of us, we are in our puppy pose. This pose here is a counter stretch to what we just did. Allowing our shoulder blades to melt forward with our eyes gazed down or closed. May we hang out here 6 natural breaths. Three more breaths. With our palms extended in front of us, may we slightly gaze forward, noticing how this feels in the body. Maybe walking our fingertips to the front of the yoga mat, feeling that stretch. As we do a couple of spinal waves. Finding our bodies back into our table as we push our bodies up to our down dog. Gazing back at our feet. Maybe we are in a wide-legged down dog if that feels good for us in our belly, depending on how it feels in your body. We're going to gaze back at our feet. We are building strength here in our arms. 2 breaths. As we exhale to our high plank, our body shifts slightly forward. We are now in our high plank. We can come down to a low plank if that feels good for us. 2 breaths. Exhaling back to down dog. Gazing at our feet. Maybe we can walk our dog by pedaling our feet side to side, noticing how that feels. As we come to a complete forward fold, walking our legs forward towards our hands, maybe coming into a wide-legged forward fold if that feels good for you and your belly. Allowing our torso to completely relax downwards. Noticing how this relaxes and soothes. Maybe gazing our eyes down or closing our eyes. Flowing to a ragdoll, if that feels good for you, by connecting our hands to our elbows. And maybe we can widen our legs a little bit wider and rock from side to side, feeling the movements here in our hamstrings. You may notice how the mind and body is relaxing and soothing here. Maybe hang out here 4 more breaths. Two more breaths. As we find our pose at center, we're going to slightly shift our feet towards the opposite side of the room. We're going to work on a goddess pose here, slightly bending our knees, noticing how this feels in our hips. As we come up, we are in our goddess. Only coming up as deep as we choose. We can be nice and low, we can be slightly high, depending on how it feels in our bodies here. We are in our goddess, having our cactus hands if that feels good for us, or we can place our palms on our thighs. 2 breaths. Exhaling to complete forward fold. We are in our wide-legged forward fold, gazing back at our feet. 2 breaths. Exhaling back to our goddess, bending our knees. Palms come up. We are in our cactus hands here. Noticing how this feels in our bodies. We are working the lower parts of our bodies. 2 breaths. Exhale back to forward fold. Maybe rocking our bodies from side to side here in our forward fold. Noticing how this feels in our hamstrings. Opening up our hips just a little bit more. Finding our pause at center. Maybe we can take our left hand and connect our left hand towards our right feet, feeling that crossbody stretch. If we're able, maybe we can gaze over our right shoulder. And if we want to go deeper, we can take our right hand and cross it behind our backs, how we do when to thread the needle, gazing over that right shoulder. Yes, yes. Feeling that spinal twist. We can also feel it in our hamstrings as our hips are opening here. 4 breaths. Two more breaths. As we exhale back to center, we are back in our wide-legged forward fold. Allowing our heads to completely relax down. Exhale into our half wide-legged forward fold, slightly gazing forward as we bring our right hand towards our left foot. Maybe wrapping our left hand around our back like we're doing to thread the needle as we gaze over that left shoulder. Feeling that spinal twist. Feeling that stretch behind our hamstrings, as well as feeling our hips open a little bit wider. 4 breaths. Two more breaths. As we exhale back to center, coming into a wide-legged forward fold, allowing our torso to completely fall downward. Noticing how this is a counter stretch, it relaxes and soothes. 2 breaths. Exhale into a half, wide-legged forward fold. As we slightly twist our bodies towards the right, we're going to position our bodies to come into a triangle pose. Our legs are now in our triangle stance. If we choose and if we need to, maybe we can grab our yoga block if we need it to come into our triangle, because once again, we don't want to overstretch. Placing our right hand on our yoga block. Noticing how that feels in our bodies as we open up our heart chakra, slightly gazing up towards that shoulder, towards the heavens. If this feels good, extend that arm, yes, above our head, up towards the heavens. We are in our triangle here, ensuring that we are not overstretching, hence the yoga block. For those who don't need it, feel free to hang out here without the block. 4 more breaths. Two more breaths. Staying in our triangle stance, we're going to position our bodies to come facing our thigh. Yes, maybe twisting that back leg forward. And maybe we're going to do a revolved triangle if we're able. Taking that left hand, placing that left hand on that yoga block, or placing that left hand on that right foot. We're going to do a revolved triangle, twisting our bodies towards our leg. Right arm goes up in the air. Noticing how this feels. This is a revolved triangle. Whenever our bodies are faced or twisted towards our leg, it is considered a revolved position. May we hang out here 4 more natural breaths. Two more breaths. Exhaling out. Slightly bending that front knee. We're going to come into a runner's lunge just for a second if we're able. if we're able, with our tummies. As we straighten out that leg, come into a pyramid. Allowing our torso to relax over that front thigh. 2 breaths. Exhaling back to center, coming back to that wide-legged forward fold. Yes, we are opening up our hips today. We are working our hamstrings here today. 2 breaths. Exhale into our half, wide-legged forward fold. Heart chakra slightly up as we gaze forward. As we work on our triangle, opposite side, positioning our bodies to face that left leg. We are in our triangle, grabbing our yoga block if we may need it. As we straighten, as we twist our heart chakra up towards the right, bringing that right arm up in the air. We are in our triangle, using our yoga block if that feels good for us. Noticing how our heart chakra is open here. Our spinal cord is relaxed and soothed. 4 more breaths. Two more breaths. As we exhale back, framing that front foot just for a second. As we take our now right hand, placing that right hand on that yoga block if we need it. And we're going to do a revolved triangle here. Right hand on yoga block as our bodies twist towards our thigh. Yes, lifting our left arm up towards the heavens. Gazing up at that left arm, we are in our revolved triangle. Noticing how this feels in the body. 4 breaths. Two more breaths. As we exhale back to center, bending that front knee, coming into a runner's lunge if we're able. 2 breaths. As we straighten out that front leg, coming into a pyramid, allowing our torso to relax over that thigh. 2 more breaths. Exhale forward again, coming back to that wide-legged forward fold. Our head is completely relaxed. Maybe we can come into a ragdoll if that feels good for you. Maybe we can rock our bodies from side to side. What we are doing is we are opening up and loosening up our thighs and our hips. Four more breaths. Two breaths. Finding our pause at center, coming into a half forward fold. As we slightly bend our knees, we're going to come into a goddess pose one more time, working the lower parts of our bodies, coming into a cactus hands if that feels good for us. Heart chakra's up, chin is slightly up. 4 breaths. Two more breaths. Exhale, wide-legged forward fold. Yogi walking our feet together, just slightly. As we slightly come down to a yogi squat, a malasana, noticing how this feels here. Once again, we are continuing to open up our hips, noticing how this feels in our bodies. Maybe we can take this time and place our right hand on the tops of our bellies. Place our left hands on the lower parts of our bellies. Allowing our bodies to completely relax here in our yogi squat. With our eyes gazed downward but not closed because we don't want to use our balance. Taking this time for self-care for mom and baby. Natural breaths. Allowing the body to relax and soothe. Two more breaths. As we come onto our hands and our knees back into our table position. Knees are hip distance apart. As we drop down to our cow. Exhale into our cat. Flowing back to our table. And maybe ensuring that our legs are nice and widened as we do a thread the needle. Starting on the right side, bringing that right arm off to the side if we choose. As we thread that right arm through the left heart chakra, comes downward towards the earth. Our shoulder blades are melted forward into the yoga mat. Eyes are closed, body's relaxing, mind is relaxing. And if we choose, maybe we can wrap that left arm around the back, going deeper into that pose, or extending that arm above the head. Whatever feels good for you. 4 breaths. Two more breaths. As we slowly unwrap that arm, we are going to unthread that needle back into our table as we drop down to our cow. Exhale into our cat. Flowing back to our table as we thread the needle opposite side. Left arm is going to thread through the right arm, heart chakras downward towards the earth. Shoulder blades melt forward, eyes are closed or gaze down. Allowing the mind and body to completely relax. Maybe wrapping that right arm around the back if that feels good for you, or extending it above your head. 4 breaths. Two more breaths. As we slowly form, unthreading that needle, finding our bodies back in our table. As we drop down to our cow, exhale into our cat, flowing back to our table. As we work on a sunbird, just for a moment, bringing that right leg straight towards the back, noticing how that feels. Palms are flat on the earth, tummy's nice and relaxed here. We don't want noticing how this feels. And if we have our balance, maybe we can extend our left arm. However, if we don't have our balance, we can lower that right leg downward towards the earth with our left arm extended. Doing what feels good for you and your body at this moment. Leg can be straight towards the back, toes can be downward towards the earth. This here is a balancing pose. It's a strengthening pose. 4 breaths. Two more breaths. Breathe in. Exhale back to table. Relaxing the body. Dropping down to cow. Exhale into cat. Back to our table. As we sunbird opposite side, bringing that left leg towards the back, extending that right arm forward. However, keeping in mind we can lower those right toes downward towards the earth as we extend our arm forward. Noticing how it feels in our bodies. 4 breaths. Two more breaths. Building strength, balancing the body. Breathe in. Exhale back to table, bringing that knee in. Dropping down to our cow. Exhale into our cat. Flowing back to our table. As we push our bodies up to our down dog. And we're going to take it easy here today. We're not going to go too deep. Maybe we can do a 3-legged dog, right side, bringing that right leg up in the air, gazing back at that foot. As we Breathe that right foot forward, coming into a pigeon pose. Right foot crosses in front of the body. Left leg goes towards the back. We are in our pigeon pose. Noticing how this feels in our bodies. We may have big belly, so we can't come down to a sleeping pigeon. So using our palms to keep our torso up, away from our legs. Noticing how this feels. Maybe taking nice, subtle breaths with our eyes gazed down or closed. Allowing this pigeon to relax and soothe. For those who can go down to a sleeping pigeon, please feel free to go down. We're going to hang out here 4 breaths. Two more breaths. We're going to do a bonus for relaxation here. 2 more breaths. If we are in our sleeping pigeon, slowly awakening from that sleeping pigeon, both palms are on the earth, our torso is up. As we just slightly gaze over that right shoulder, feeling that spinal twist. 2 breaths. Exhaling back to center. As we slightly gaze over that left shoulder, maybe allowing our left hand to touch our left leg. Feeling the spinal twist. 2 breaths. Exhaling back to center. Palms are framing that front leg. Heart chakra's up. Maybe placing our left hand on the tops of our tummies. With our eyes gazed down. Using this time for self-care for mom and baby. 3 breaths. Noticing how we feel within our bodies. 2 more breaths. As we breathe, both palms in front of us, we are framing that front leg. Breathe in. Exhale back down, down dog. Gazing back at our feet. Pedaling our feet, walking our dog. Maybe pushing our torso towards our thigh, noticing how that feels, maybe being wide-legged. Pedaling our feet, walking our dog as we 3-legged dog, left side. Left leg comes in the air, gazing back at our foot. As we swim, left foot in front of us, coming into a pigeon, opposite side. Left foot comes in front of us. Right leg is towards the back. Noticing how this feels. Heart chakra's up. Chin is slightly up as our palms are pushing our torso away from our leg. This is a slight back bend here. For those who choose, who don't have big bellies, maybe we can flow on down to a sleeping pigeon. That feels good for you. With the eyes gazed down or closed, shoulder blades melt forward. For those who can't go down to that sleeping pigeon, maybe just relax in our pigeon. With the eyes gazed down. Facial muscles are relaxed. Our chin, our forehead is relaxed. Four more breaths. And those who are not in a sleeping pigeon, maybe we can take our right hand and relax on our tummies, noticing how that feels. With our eyes still gazed down and relaxed. Using this time for self-care for mom and baby. We're going to do a bonus of 4 more breaths. Breathe in. Exhale. Coming out of that sleeping pigeon. Using our palms to push our torso away from our thigh as we slightly gaze over that right shoulder. Maybe taking our right hand and placing that right hand on that right leg. Feeling that spinal twist. 2 breaths. Exhaling back to center, framing that front leg as we gaze over that left shoulder, feeling that spinal twist. Two more breaths. Exhaling back to center. We are here in our pigeon. We're going to take this right leg and we're going to swim that right leg forward, coming into a diamond or a butterfly. Bringing that right leg forward. We are in our diamond or butterfly. Whatever pose feels good for you. Once again, opening up our hips. Yes, we are working our hips. We are opening up our thighs here today. Maybe doing a couple of cat-cows if that feels good for you. Lifting our heart chakra up. Chin comes slightly up. We are in our cow. Noticing how this feels in our spinal cord. Opening up our heart chakra. As we exhale to cat, chin comes towards our clavicle, ensuring that we are not going down too deep. We don't want to squish baby. As we do a couple of cat-cows to our natural breath. As we find pause at center, coming on, using our hands to bring our knees together before we come onto our backs.
Coming into a fetal position if we are in our third trimester, or if we are 5 or 6 months and having twins, we don't want to put or apply too much pressure on our backs, on the vena cava.
Coming into a knees to chest if we're able, or we're going to come into a wide-legged knees to chest, which means we're just going to widen our knees outward towards the sides. Noticing how this feels. Maybe reaching down to our feet if that feels good for you. Once again, opening up our hips, relaxing the body. 4 breaths. Eyes are closed or gaze down. Shoulder blades are melted back into the yoga mat. 3 more breaths. As we use our hands to bring our knees together, we're going to flow onto our side. If we have a long pillow, taking that long pillow and placing it between our thighs if that feels good for us. Grabbing a blanket if we have one, putting it underneath our arm. We're going to be in a fetal position here. Our neck just relaxing the body. With our eyes gazed down or closed. We're going to hang out here in our fetal pose for 8 natural breaths. Six more breaths. And if we choose, maybe we can place our palm on the sides of our tummies. Noticing how that feels with our eyes gazed down or closed. Four more breaths. Two more breaths. With our eyes still gazed down or closed, maybe we can slowly wiggle our ankles, our toes, wiggle our toes, shall I say, and rotating our ankles. Maybe moving our bodies at our hips if that feels good for us. Simply using the movements to awaken the body. As we breathe in, exhale. Using our top hand to push our bodies up, coming into a seated pose. I'm going to come into a half lotus. May you find any easy seat that feels good for you. As we are relaxed in the mind and body here today. Maybe we can place our palms, our right palm on the tops of our bellies, our left palm on the bottoms of our bellies. With our spinal cord nice and long. With our eyes gazed down or closed. With our shoulders relaxed down away from the ears. Our chin is relaxed. Our facial muscles are relaxed. Our forehead is relaxed as we take natural breaths. Two more breaths. As we breathe our palms at heart center, coming into a seated prayer, maybe allowing our thumbs to touch our sternum. Eyes are still gazed down. As we use this time to once again thank ourselves for allowing ourselves to practice self-care here today. For in a busy world filled with lots of things to do, finding time for self is a necessity. Finding time to relax and soothe and go inward is a necessity. And I would like to thank you so much for allowing me to guide you here today, for it truly was a blessing. The light in me sees, appreciates, and respects the light in you. Namaste.